Greetings to you out there. This is Father Love, and you are welcome to another edition of Make Love Go Viral. So the story goes that once upon a time in a seminary professor set up his homiletics class in such a way that was way out of the norm. The seminarians were scheduled to preach on the parable of the Good Samaritan. And on the day of the class, he designed his experiment in such a way that each student would go one at a time from one classroom to another to preach a sermon. So the students were given 10 minutes to go from one room to the other, and others had less time allotted to them, forcing them to rush in order to meet up with the schedule. So each student, one at a time, had to pass through a certain corridor and pass by a bum who was obviously in need of help, and he was planted there deliberately. Now, the results were fascinating and surprising and taught them a powerful lesson. The percentage of those good people who stopped to help was extremely low, especially for those who were on a tighter schedule. So the shorter the time, the fewer the number of those who paused to help the man who was in need. So you can imagine what their reaction was like when the professor made his experiment known to them. Future spiritual leaders preaching on the Good Samaritan, and they failed to play the Good Samaritan by not helping the person who was planted and was in need, on their way to the class. And someone who was in need of help was at the core of that parable. We should always have eyes to see and hands to help, or we may likely never help at all. Now, this beautiful story by Tim Hansel is expressed in a poem written by anonymous person, and let me read it to you. It says, "I was hungry, and you from the Humanities Club to discuss my hunger. Thank you. I was imprisoned, and you crept off quietly to your chapel to pray for my release. Nice. I was naked, and in your mind you debated the morality of my appearance. What good did that do? I was sick, and you knelt and thanked God for your own health. But I needed you. I was homeless, and you preached to me of the shelter of the love of God. I wish you had taken me home. I was lonely, and you left me alone to pray for me. Why didn't you stay? You seem so close to God, so holy, but I'm still very hungry, lonely, cold, and still in pain. Does it matter?"